Hey, can everyone hear me okay? Awesome, great. For those of you who I haven't had the opportunity to meet yet, I'm Michael Kripchak. And the biggest thing to know about me is I believe in our country. I believe in our state. I believe in Marietta. I believe in the people of our country. We just gotta give them the opportunity to succeed. I really appreciate the Harris campaign taking on the moniker of the opportunity economy. It's been something that I've been saying since the beginning of this campaign. And it comes down to this. Trickle down never trickled down. It just didn't work. We have 4 decades of experience in this. I just heard a stat this morning on the way down. CEO pay has gone up since 1978. CEO pay has gone up 1,000%. Worker wages have gone up overall 15%. The system isn't working. Now, I will be the first to say you will never hear me say greedy corporations. Their job is to make more money. That's what they're designed to do. But the government needs to be there to protect the people. Unions need to be there to protect the workers and the people. This is how we get our local economies working again. The economy right now is doing great. It's just not making its way down to us. And the economy is all about circulation. And everything's going up to big corpos, and none of it's circulating within our communities. You want to see drug use go down, violence go down, you want to see the rebuilding of our downtowns, this is how it happens. My primary mission in Congress is straightforward. Restore the American dream. Make it so that people, if they just want 1 income per household and they can still raise a family, make that an opportunity for them again. Make it an opportunity for people to actually be able to buy and own a home. And that starts with our farmers. Your increased grocery store prices, none of it's making its way down to the farmers. There's something like 2 to 3 companies control 90% of our food train in this country. That is not free market capitalism. That's corporatism. There's not enough competition in the market. Housing. Companies are now being prosecuted in states, and we need to do this at the federal level as well. Companies are being prosecuted at the state level for colluding on rent prices. Same thing's happening with the 4 main meatpacking groups in our country. FTC and DOJ investigations on price collusion, because there's an app for that now. Our anti-collusion, antitrust laws, they're a century old. They need to be updated. They need to be enforced. Our laws against union busting need to be enforced. So many of these things are on the books. They just need to be reaffirmed, as Willa said, by a Congress that actually believes in their utility. And I'm sorry, my opponent, he was one of the first members of the House of Representatives to come out against anti-price gouging in grocery stores. I wonder why. He owns a chain of grocery stores that he inherited from his family, of course. He didn't build it himself. And his net worth has gone up 60% over the last 4 years, while the rest of us are struggling. He's received something like 70% of his campaign contributions from big money and dark money PACs. He's been caught quoting gas company emails on the House floor, on the state Senate floor, as his own words. This is who he is. And he also shot at some 100 teenagers into the middle of the night because he heard some sounds in the back of his property. And then when they went back to grab their parents to go help them take down their tree stand because they weren't on his property, then his wife decided to shoot at them. It's endemic of what's happened to the Republican Party. They have no vision for the future. They have no answers to any of our problems. That's why it's so important for Ari to win his race, for Wenda to win her race. because they have no answers, because they've spent decades now describing anything that could possibly help us as communism and socialism. Oh, help people pay for childcare, help people have time off work so they can actually have the time and opportunity to raise a family. Oh, that's communism and socialism. By that extent, look, the interstate highway system would never get built today. It would never get built today because the Republicans have just become obstructionists. And for me, it comes down to one simple question. What is more important, this generation or the next? This is why we have to address global warming. We need to take meaningful steps forward. We need a second Inflation Reduction Act, which is just an infrastructure act, as we all really know. More investment in green tech. My main initiative is to get manufacturing back to our district. I got the mine workers endorsement not only for saying I'll help protect their pensions, just like Sheard Brown has done, but by showing them the opportunities we have for coal, not just to burn it up, but to make materials of the future. Carbon nanotubes, carbon fiber, the substance called graphene, which is going to be so important for transmitting green technology energy over long distances, because so many places live off the normal grid as it is now. But these take a congressman or woman that understands how to actually talk to scientists, how to talk to engineers. I have a background as an Air Force military scientist and researcher and acquisitions officer. I've worked with these people that are smarter than, I gotta say, I don't know everybody in this room, but they're smarter than most of us in the room. They're definitely smarter than I am. But you have to be capable of having a conversation with them. I've worked with government financing. I know how the federal government financing works. My opponent has no clue. Or even worse, he does understand it and he just doesn't care. And lastly, I gotta talk about our teachers. Again, what's more important, this generation or the next? Our teachers need the pay, respect, and resources that they deserve in helping us create the citizenry of tomorrow. There were some of our founding fathers that didn't see need for public education. They just said, oh, all we need is workers. We don't need to worry about them. That's just a waste of money and funds. But some of our founding fathers, in their genius, said, no, we need an educated electorate to maintain our democracy, because the level of your electorate determines the level of your democracy. We've seen that teaching to the test doesn't work. We have to get a whole person concept like we had at the Air Force Academy. Mental, emotional, physical fitness. Teach kids how not to be afraid of using the stove, how to write a check. I know these things sound so simple, but they're gone from our schools. My biggest school initiative is to get civics out of the classroom into the community. Getting our kids working with community organizations so they actually see what it takes to maintain our society. That's leadership opportunities, mentorship opportunities, hands-on real-world experience. We need to increase trade school opportunities, because the manufacturing district I'm talking about, these jobs don't require college degrees, they require a skilled workforce. And we're going to have to meet those needs. And lastly, I guess I want to end with this. The biggest lesson I've had since I've started campaigning is that it's not the politicians that maintain our democracy, it's our volunteers. It really is, our democracy cannot exist without work like yours, Willa, without work from your entire team, like work from everyone in this room. And look, I know politicians get up here and say stuff like this, but right, I'm a scientist by training, right? I analyze problems, figure out what's going on. And really, our democracy is nowhere without its volunteer workforce. So I thank you for the work you've done. I thank you for the work you're going to do, because guess what? I'm low on funds again. There was a lot of talk. Apparently, after my special election, when they came back from recess in Congress, Hakeem Jeffries' first slide was about my race. But none of that funding came down. I was just quoted in the paper up in Mahoning today saying how, you know what, it's politics. There was a lot of talk, but not a lot of financial assistance. And I understand why rural America feels abandoned. And I'm sorry, they've been abandoned by both parties. Both parties fighting against their interests. But with teams like you have down here at Willa, we're here to prove them wrong. So I thank you all for coming today. And I look forward to speaking to you after in the victory service.